Alright, so today we are going to be creating a Game Pass, a modern looking GUI shop for Game Passes. So to start, we're going to go ahead and create a screen GUI here, which is going to hold all of our frames and stuff. Okay, I already lost it. It is right here. That's not it. It's right here. Okay, so we're going to name this shop or whatever you want. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to insert a frame into it. This is going to be the main shop frame right here. And so I'll just keep it named frame. And so what we can do is we can either drag and drop using Roblox's UI editor, or we can just use the numbers here. So I'm going to use the numbers here. So I don't like to use offset, which are these second two numbers in size, this one and this one. I normally like to use the first ones because it stays the same for every screen size. So for example, if I were to set this to 0.8 and this to 0.8, and then we can change our position here using the first numbers only to 0.1 and 0.1 to center it. We have a centered frame that looks like this. That's a bit big though. We're going to set that to 0.6, 0.6, and then 0.2 to center it. And so what we can do here is if we were to change the size of the screen, it always stays the same. See? So that's why I like to use the first two numbers. It uses percentages or decimal values. Okay, so now what we can do is we're going to customize the way this frame looks. So we're going to turn this off and we're going to go into style. And here Roblox comes with a few different pre-made things that we're going to use. So I'm going to use Roblox round just because I think it looks nice. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to insert a text label, and it's just going to say shop. So we're going to move this. I'm going to once again remove the second two numbers. I'll make it about 20. I'm going to make it cover about 20% of the frame on the x-axis and about 15% on the y-axis. And then we're going to position it to about 0.1, 0.2. Or no, actually, this is going to be our label. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put this up. We're going to set the size to about 0.3, which means this needs to be 0.35 to center it like that, and then we can set this to 0.1. So this is just choosing the position of this. Once again, you can also just drag and drop using Roblox's UI editor, but I like to just work with the numbers. So now we're going to set the background transparency to 1. And then in text, I'm just going to make it say shop, and then I'm going to change the font to sci-fi because it looks the most modern. I'm going to set text scaled to true so that it always changes as you resize the screen, like that. And I'm going to change the color to white. And that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a button, text button, and it's going to be called purchase, just like that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move it like this. We're going to move it to about we don't even need to do that there. I'm just going to set it to oh, that's obviously not what I meant to do. I meant to set that as position, my bad. Okay, so this is going to be about 0.2, 0.2, maybe 0.3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to position it down to that's the x-axis. We're going to position it to about 0.3 so that it looks like it's right there. We can also use another style here if we want. I'm going to use a white button just because it fits in with the color scheme. And so now we're going to go back to the text. And we're going to make this say purchase. And then I could also make it say whatever, purchase, fire, wings, or whatever. And so this is our Game Pass right here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a label to this button. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a text label. And we're going to name details or whatever you want. And purchasing this Game Pass will give it you fire wings. I'll put that into sci-fi. And you can do whatever you want here, by the way. I'm just setting this to how I like it. We're going to set our size to maybe 0.5, 0.2, something like that. And I'm going to set the background transparency to 1, and I'm going to set the text to white, like this. Now we position it to, I think it was 0.3, and, or actually we'll set this to about 0.5, and we'll set this to 0.3. That's obviously too far over. 0.4, and that looks good enough. Okay. So now we have this done. Now what we're also going to do is we can add a sound to play once you click a button. So this is going to be called, we're actually going to put this up here where our script's going to be. It's going to be called click, and I'm going to use a sound effect that I found right here. And so this is the sound that we're going to use when a player clicks something. So now we're going to add one less button, not in frame though. We're going to add this in the main GUI area so that it doesn't get locked in with all the other stuff. So we can add text button. And what we can do here is we're going to name this open close or whatever. And this is going to be what you click to open the shop. So now we're going to move this down to about 0.3, and I'm just going to style this button myself. I'll set background transparency to 0.3, and I can set this to 0. The text is going to be open shop, like that. Text scaled, text color white. That looks good. Yeah, that'll do. Let's just resize it really quickly. Size, we'll set that to 0.2 and 0.1. 0.2 is too big, just like that. And then I'll set the font. And we also forgot to set the font here for purchase. There. I know everything has the same font, and I'll just move this up some because it looks bad where it is. 0.1, that's wrong one. Okay, I'll just set that to 0, like that. Okay, so now we have the layout done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a script to start making this shop work. I'll just name it handler, and we're going to delete that. So to start, we're going to set up the open close button. So we're going to add an event listener here, script.Parent.OpenClose.Mouse button one click connect function. Alright, so what this does is whenever you click the open close button, as we can see here, script.parent meaning it goes to the parent of this object, which is shop, and then it looks for open close, which is right here. So once they click this, it's going to connect to a function, and this function right here, so we're going to have a value right here, and it's going to be called open, and it's going to start by not being open, like that. So if open, then, and then we'll do this right here. So actually we'll just change this to not. So if the shop is not open, then we're going to open it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, so what we're going to do is we're going to do script.Parent.Frame, and so we're going to animate it so that it moves in and it looks more modern. We're going to do script.Parent.Frame : TweenPosition udem2.new, or actually no, yeah, actually. So what this does is we're moving the frame to a different position, and so if we look down here, we're going to copy its position. Oh, I don't know what I just did. We're going to copy its position there, and we're going to come back into the script, and we're going to paste it, and nope. And what we're going to do is we're just going to remove these curly bracket things, like that. So what this does is it will animate the thing to move to this new spot. And so now what we're going to make it so that it comes with a bouncing animation instead of just the normal thing. So we're going to do comma nil. And I'm going to give you a link in this. Well, actually, here, I'll just pull it over right here. So this right here, this is what the function looks like. you have to supply it with an end position, which we did right here. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. We have to supply it with an end position. Okay. End position, which is this right here. And then secondly, the easing direction. I'm just going to not supply a value for that, so I'm just going to set it to nil. And then easing style, we're going to do Enum.EasingStyle. And then this is where all of our options are for how it's going to be animated. And I'm going to choose bounce. We're going to choose bounce, and then time is going to take, we'll just set that to 1. And override, we'll set that to true, which means you can, like, if it's already moving, then it'll just keep moving. It'll remove, basically. It's complicated. Okay, and nil. So there we go. Now we don't need this anymore. We can come back here. And what we're going to do before this, too, is we're going to set the position to... We're going to change the position before it rotates, because what's happening here is so this right here, it's moving the parent frame right here. It's moving it to the center of the screen, but the frame's already in the center of the screen. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that the frame is starting on the very left. So we'll just set this to -1000, which means it's going to be on the very left of the screen. So then this will tween, and we're going to add a wait 1 second. So this waits until it's done tweening. And then, well, honestly, we don't even need that. Okay. And then we're going to have this exact same script here. However, what's happening here is we're going to replace these two values right here. -1. We're going to replace this. So we're going to copy this right here. We're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it in right here, and we're going to swap the values. So this is -1000, same thing. Everything looks fine. And once it's done, we're going to do open equals true and open equals false, so that that updates the value, so that we know if it's open or not. And so we're also going to add one more thing up here, and it's going to be script.Parent.Frame.Position equals, well, actually, we're going to have to wait for frame. And the reason for this is because sometimes it takes a while for the frame to load in, so the script might load in faster than the frame does, so we're going to have to wait for the frame to load in. And then we're going to set the position to udem2.new, which stands for just a position on the screen. And we'll just set this to what it is already at. So we'll just make, or actually no, we're going to set it to -1000, like this, so that it moves to the very left of the screen. And open is set to false. And so this looks good. We're going to go ahead and see what happens now. If we go ahead and test it, open shop, bounces in, and if you, yep. And then since we set override to true, you can spam this and it glitches out, which we might want to disable. But we won't do that because that'll take too much time. So here we go. You can open and close the shop. And what we're also going to do, I forgot to add one thing. When it's clicked, we're going to play the sound. And to play this sound that we have right here, click, what we're going to do is we're going to do, right here, we're going to add it right here, script.Parent.Click. So we're right here now. And then we're going to do :play like this. So what this will do is it plays the click sound. So if we test this again, you can't hear it because I don't have my sound volume on, but it'll play a sound. And also I'll have the sound code in the description so that you can always use it. So there we go, we have the open script done. So now we can move down here. And now what we have to do is we have to add another event listener, script.Parent.Frame. So we have to add an event listener to the purchase button right here. .frame.purchase .mouse button 1-click : connect function, like this. Okay, so here we go. We have our second event listener right here. So okay, so now that we have our second event listener made, what we're going to do is we're going to do game : GetService MarketplaceService. Okay, so this is our marketplace service that we have, and then : to make this service do something, and it's going to be PromptGamePassPurchase, or GamePassPurchase, I mean. In here, as we can see, it takes two values, the player and the Game Pass ID. So the player, player is game.Players.LocalPlayer. What this does is it gets the local player. Since this is a local script, it's finding the player that is currently running the script, and so we can just use game.Players.LocalPlayer to find who that is, and then comma asset ID. Now this normally shows up. So if you go to a Game Pass link, for example, here I'm going to pull up this random website I just found. Okay, so if we look in the URL, this is the asset ID right here. We're going to copy that, and we're going to paste this right here. So normally this would be a game pass from your game, and we're also going to add the click sound effect one more time. Script.Parent.Click :play. And so what that'll do is it'll prompt a Game Pass purchase. So open shop, purchase Firewings, and it's not currently for sale because, as we can see, it's not for sale, so it makes sense. So that's how we're going to create our shop GUI. If you have any questions, please make sure to comment because I'm happy to help. I know that I am not a very good explainer, so yeah, thanks for watching and goodbye.